You got low battery.
Oh, shoot.
It's still filming, but it's all bleh.
Nah, it's actually frozen a bit there, I think.
I've got something to say. Just get it going.
Yeah.
Okay, listen to me. This is important.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Thank you so much for tuning back in, and please continue to subscribe, keep watching my videos, keep liking, please leave comments, everything like that whatsoever. Today's video is a very special one. I am interviewing the lead singer of a great cover band called Radio Chaos. They are an amazing group, and I'll be talking to the lead singer, which is Adam. And without further ado, here he is. Adam, thank you for joining us. This is Adam, the lead singer of Radio Chaos. Adam, first of all, I have to say thank you so much for being my first ever interview. I'm
Gonna be killer deal.
My channel.
Make it or break it for you, mate.
Exactly, I know. I mean, breaking out is something something huge in everyone's lives, I think, and everyone's got to start somewhere.
Yes, and this is it.
This is one of those things as well for me. So, first of all, Adam, what got you into the music scene in the first place for cover bands and stuff before you formed Radio Chaos and everything?
Well, that's an interesting question because it's probably not the same as most people you would ask.
Yes.
I'd never seen a cover band until I was in one. And never was interested in seeing cover bands and always wanted to see original bands, particularly from America. If you grew up in the 80s, you only wanted to see Americans or the odd English band, but I was never really into Australian bands and never interested. I was not a partier, I was never a drinker. But in about 1996, I was asked if I would play drums in Passion Fruit Pulp, and the rest is history.
That is absolutely amazing. That actually quite surprises me that.
It probably does at this juncture, yeah.
Riding through the streets in a silver-top taxi cab, to her shaking in his seat. Riding through the streets in a silver-top taxi cab, to her door.
And so, Adam, how did you come across James and Malcolm to form Radio Chaos?
Well, it's a long story, as these things tend to be. I didn't really chase it, to be honest. But
yeah,
we were in a band with two other people, and our drummer at the time, George, we really miss you. He unfortunately passed away at the end of 2013, which was bittersweet for me because my first child was born a few weeks before. So that was kind of, it was really an interesting time. Anyway, James had known Zach, the gentleman that we were playing with, the guitarist at the time, and I'd played with James probably twice before. James was he's a veteran of the cover scene. He's been playing covers, since about 1992.
I love his Kryptonite song.
Well,
I know it's the only song he tends to sing at your gigs, but at the same time, though, he does get the crowd moving.
Yeah, and I think I think he's actually going to be doing a few more soon. But anyway, we were stuck. I mean, we weren't worried about the gigs, obviously, because George had passed away, so we didn't really pay attention to it. But we had commitments. We actually had to play on New Year's Eve, and we had a few other gigs as well. And James, being the trooper he was, he knew the situation. Came into the band and with no rehearsal, and played the rest of the year. And when that version of the band dissolved, I was going to be the acoustic guy in the corner that you don't pay attention to, because after everything that had gone on with George, it had become really, really big and popular at the time, and of course that was a tragedy.
Yeah.
So I was either, and of course I had my first child at the time. I kind of wanted to retire, to be honest. I've done it for 20 years or thereabouts, and the phone kept ringing, and we did an acoustic gig with James, believe it or not, duo, an acoustic guitar in Bendigo, and a gentleman there enjoyed it, and he said, "Can you do that as a band?"
Forgot to mention as well is Mike, your keyboardist,
Yep.
who is part of the fourth member
Yes.
when we go to the Royal in Essendon.
Yes.
And he is one hell of a character.
Mickey Bam. I played with him back in 1990, whatever, 5, and I kind of knew I didn't want to get another guitar player because I kind of thought guitar players, it's all guitar and it's all loud, and I didn't really want that rocky kind of thing. I'd had a lot of that. So I got him on keys, and he really good key player. I knew that he was out of work. I knew he'd left Passion Fruit Pulp sort of 7 years after I had, and I kind of knew he'd be up for it. I knew all the material. I knew he could sing. He did about 5 or 6 gigs with us on keys, and I can't remember why, but one particular gig in the city, I said, "Look, just bring your guitar," because I'd seen footage, and it didn't have the impact that I wanted it to have. And this city gig, as you've seen, is a really busy room. And I said, "Well, just go with that. You know it on," because he's a great guitar player as well, and very reliable guy. Anyway, we did the gig as him as the guitar player with the 3 guys up the front, me and him and Malcolm. And it was obvious that had more impact, even though I didn't like the sound as much. Another thing we should mention, actually, by the way, is I spent 20 years playing with backing tracks.
Wow.
And I was determined that took so much money and so much effort that I couldn't be bothered with it. And anything that needed that, I wasn't going to entertain. So it was all live. So if there's no keys on stage, no keyboard player, there was no keys in the sound.
Right.
Full stop.
You wanted it to be real. You didn't want anything to be something that was off a box.
Sure, but more to the point, I didn't want to have to deal with it because
Yep.
it took a lot of organising, and I'm organising everything, and I just didn't want to have to do that. Like I said before, I kind of wanted to be the guy in the corner, just take the paycheck, do the right thing, do the requests, and go home.
So what would be some of your most profound memories ever since you've been performing in cover bands?
Well, that's a loaded question, some of which I can't share with you. Memories. There's a couple of huge gigs that we did. We started the Brass Monkey down in Narre Warren. We were the first band to go there, and I think for probably about a year, we had 2,500 people in 2 different levels every Saturday night for a year. That was pretty amazing to do that. We actually got that from the Helm, believe it or not.
Unbelievable.
We closed the Helm the first time, and I don't know the year. I think it was 2000.
Yeah.
And we also did the Essendon Grand when there was an Essendon Grand, and that was about 1,500 people. They had 3 rooms from memory. We went on stage at 12 midnight, and then later on in the residency we went on stage at 2 a.m. So this is it's difficult for people of your age to kind of comprehend that. But they had another band, a duo in the other room that would play in our breaks. That was a bit decadent, actually. That was, by the time we got on stage, everyone was in party mode, and we just turned up and played. And it was good for the band. We had a lot of people. To this day, people come and see me and sort of say, "Well, were you in that band?" And so that would have been, I guess, about probably 98 till 2003. We were there, and then they closed the venue after that.
I got it.
in on this point, but I have to admit, because I've been watching you guys perform for more than a year now in Radio Chaos, and back in the early days of when Playhouse used to exist, you were Checkpoint Charlie back then.
Yes.
But can I just say, I find it so amusing that you perform Jason Derulo's in my head, and especially when everyone keeps saying, Jason Derulo!
Well, there's
This song's about Jason Derulo.
there too. I mean, that wasn't. I don't know that was radio. It was so many bands. We did that at the time when it was a hit. With James, our drummer at the moment, he was involved in that, and it was a hit. And we did it for real.
Yeah.
And then I think in the most recent incarnation, we just did it as a goof because I can't remember. I think we were playing it over in Essendon somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but there was no one there, so I think we just did it, and we made a goof of it because of course every song that he sings there's that Jason Derulo bit, and now it's become a. I walked into the Helen last week and somebody that I didn't know just yelled out, Jason Derulo. So yeah.
Do you come from the land down under? The wind blowing and under. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover, you better take cover, you better take cover.
And so, Adam, who would you consider to be one of, or some of your biggest idols in the rock and roll era that probably could have led you into today and stuff, with everything?
That's a tough question. I think everybody starts playing music. Everyone that I know started playing music because they were inspired by something they saw on television or something they heard on the radio. It's difficult to point that out now in 2018 because you grow over 20 years, you find that what inspired you in the first place doesn't necessarily do it to you. I was a drummer for 20 years, and I used to look towards. It wasn't the Australian people. It was all the American people, drummers like people probably you've never heard of, like Steve Gadd and Dave Weckl, and there was a guy from Melbourne, Virgil Donati, when I was just 17 or 18 or something. This is another sign of the times. He was playing with a cover band in the city at the grain store, which for the last 25 years has been a strip club. But I saw him play there, and with Erwin Thomas, who was Jack Jones from Southern Sons, who some people might know who that is. They played in a band called Andrew Grant and the Three Little Pigs.
Right.
Andrew Grant was the singer, and he's still singing in Melbourne now, Andrew Grant. But Virgil Donati, the drummer, was from a different planet, an absolute different planet. He moved to Los Angeles about 20 years ago and lives over there now. And then you see different people, and you change in your attitude towards music too. You don't necessarily want to be a rock star anymore because you see what happens to rock stars, and they always disappoint me in some way. So
I mean, Adam, you've connected with a lot of people over the years of being in cover bands and stuff, and especially, I'd say people look up to you, maybe wanting to start their own. What would you say to the people today trying to start a cover band and try to be someone in your shoes? What would you say to them if they were trying to start something like that?
I would have to answer that. I get asked that a lot because I teach. Don't necessarily look to one person. If that one person inspires you, that's fantastic. But and it gets you playing, that's fantastic. But don't be. For example, when in the 90s, when I was drumming a lot, we were doing every day 2 gigs a day,
And I met some other drummers, and I remember another fella I met. I don't know what his name was, but he was a fantastic drummer. And I noticed he had a certain way of setting up his drums and a certain way of playing, and I thought I'd seen that before. And it turns out that he was completely obsessed with John Bonham of Led Zeppelin. Mm-hmm. Now, John Bonham's one of the greatest rock drummers ever and never will be replaced. The problem with that is there's already a good John Bonham. You don't need, if it inspires you, that's fantastic. But if you are not open to somebody else's inspiration or some other ideas, that is a downfall. You should be open to anything that is around you.
Winding up after a big night, Adam?
Lost my voice!
Oh no!
Every single person I've met over 20 years, bar about 5 people, have given me a reason not to do what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I was a drummer for 20 years, and then I decided I don't want to do that. I want to do this singing thing with the band because I could see I could do it. Everyone said that's crazy, I was making good money as a drummer, don't do it. Then when I took up the guitar, everyone sort of said, oh yeah, okay, give it a go. This is the thing, you have to ignore those people. You have to ignore them. Don't tell them about it, just go, thank you for your input and get on with it.
Yeah.
Because if you are not true to what your vision is, whatever that may be, and a vision doesn't always come clearly. A vision sometimes is this nebulous thing that you kind of, oh, if I go that direction, it'll be all right. Many people are going to tell you, and sometimes inadvertently, they won't come out and say that's a bad idea, but they won't be supportive. You shouldn't look for approval in other people.
Yeah.
With anything, but particularly music and performing is different because you're putting yourself in front of people that don't necessarily want to be there.
Yeah.
Or don't necessarily want to see you. So you have to believe why you did it in the first place and not get discouraged. It's not easy to do. It really isn't. And I've seen many people give up because of that. And they ultimately are disappointed with themselves down the road. So if you really want to do something, music or anything, you should do it. And in the words of Flea, just don't be lame. Don't do it half-assed. Do it as much as you can do it. And then if you decide it's not for you, that's okay. But if you do it half-assed and then give up, that's not okay.
Yeah. Okay.
That's about it.
Well, that was very, very inspirational, and I have to say everything that you have told us here today has been an absolute eye-opener, and in my case as well, because there's so much more that I got to learn from you, learn from your band, learn from your history, and I can honestly say I am just more than thrilled to be one of your, not only one of your fans, but one of your good friends.
Put it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being part of this interview.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Thank you. So there you have it, folks. So be sure to tune into my channel and subscribe to my Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, everything like that whatsoever. And please also come down and support Radio Chaos. They're at the Hallam every Friday. It will be having a Christmas break soon, but next year, definitely back here. Fridays at 8 p.m. and sometimes as well at the Royal. We'll probably have a Facebook page for them as well very soon. So we'll be able to tell you where they're going and we'll track them down. We are stalkers, LOL.
Where are you going? Where are they going? I know. Where are you going?
And thanks for watching, everyone. Take care and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.